Recording in progress.
All right, great, excellent. So yes, well, what is? Okay, can someone say something? I want to see where I'm connected.
Hello?
Great, thank you. Yeah, okay. Week, is this week 8 now? Week 8, right? What is it? No, week 7. Week 7. Okay, so time is, flying past, like one of you observed, I think, on the Reddit, especially in 2C. I think I'm glad some of you are riding the wave, at the forefront and keeping up with the pace of this class. As you may know by now, it is a level harder than CS2B. So yeah, that's why I think maybe maybe I need to. Maybe I need to, I don't know how to pass the message on. I was thinking through the syllabus because, people who finish 2B, well, the thing is, I think this is what it is, okay? And you can correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have to be interested in computer science to pass 2B, meaning that you can be a homegrown programmer and you can do everything that 2B does. But to get into 2C territory, you don't, that is really where computer science begins. Up to 2B, it's just putting things together in your garage. So any homegrown programmer can do that. Given enough time, maybe except tries, maybe, right? So tries and the tardigrade class. Everything else, you can learn on your own. But I think what separates out the people that want to major in computer science versus some other field, right? Because anybody can be a programmer, really, an ordinary programmer, but only computer scientists can be true programmers in that sense, right? Because they get to the place where they can put things together like a hobby programmer. But then at that point, they say, now I'm actually interested in this stuff. I want to know how this works. So I can do the thing everybody does in the best possible way, because anybody can build a cave, but only a thinking engineer, a scientist, can build the most efficient possible cave. And so that is what makes the departure point, I think, from people who just want to be programmers and those who want to be computer scientists and real, cutting edge programmers that do these things. So the way I'm going with that is that, pretty much it's the same bunch of guys, right? Every week, you all turn up. Aman, even though you're doing 2B, you're so persevering and putting your best, effort forward every single time and trying hard. So that really is the value, right? Because, anyone who tries hard will eventually get to the goal, right? No matter how long it takes, they're going to get there because you're always only making forward progress. And but it's usually the same bunch of guys who are trying to learn these things, and a whole bunch of students I find I don't know how to tease this out, maybe surveys or the departmental effort of some kind, questionnaire, but this is a whole bunch of people who are apparently, from my perspective, who are not in the class to learn learn a craft, right? They want just a piece of paper, and again, may not be true at all, right? And you guys are the example that there's some subset of people who actually do want to learn, right? Who persevere and try to find out and ask interesting questions and bounce ideas off each other, right? So there's always a bunch of you like this. But I'm I'm not, well, I shouldn't say I'm unhappy, but I would be happier if the number of people were not just like you, right? So it's like, what is it now, like 7 people in class maybe 8, maybe 2 more are really interested but are not making it to these meetings. Okay, even then it's 10. But at Foothill, our class sizes are at least 40. Every instructor can easily handle 40 students. And I only have 10 of those who are really interested in the subject and want to learn the craft, right? And the rest of them say, well, Jay, if you give me an A, that's fine. I'm just happy with it. I won't bug you anymore. So, technically, I can just give everybody an A and teach the ones who want to learn. And so it's not going to be any different. But, I think, I was thinking about it just, 2 hours ago when I was talking to someone else. If you guys know, right? So where I'm going with this is that, I have the stuff to teach and I can teach it, and how I teach it, right? And this is how I teach it at Foothill. But I was thinking that this is exactly how I'm going to teach it, even if I'm teaching it for free, right? So and I can teach it for free. I have free hours and I love teaching this, right? Because every time I teach this, there is a chance that I find interesting people like you. And so if you guys know of other people, may not even be in our own country, right? Because now it's all the internet connected world. You have friends, pen pals, friends elsewhere too. That's perfectly fine. Maybe they're in countries that have internet, but they don't have good quality teachers, right? If you can get any group of 10 plus, okay, I can do I have a personal Zoom without a paying. I can get a paying account, but free is easier, right? So I think I can go up to 50 students, right? If I have more than 50 students, I can do a personal Zoom. I don't care. And it'll be free. It'll be totally free. So if any of you can identify people who are not enrolled in Foothill, but who just want a personal class, again, because it's going to be personal and it's going to be free, and it's on my own time and all, I can say it's not just going to be 2A, 2B, or 2C, right? 999, and you just do one and disappear. So it'll have to be, these are the conditions. If I'm going to teach this free, is that it has to be really committed students, and what committed students are, right? Because you guys are committed, and I can see the way you're questioning and you're asking questions. I can see who is committed and who is not, right? So who, if you can find other students like you who are committed to learn, okay, ask interesting questions and learn, and they can also interact with the subreddits, right? So you can interact with each other, and with you and with other people also on the subreddits. Everything is fine. So if you can find such people, 10 plus. Up to 50 right now, because I don't know if I can do Zoom more than that for free. Let me know, right? And I'm happy to do a class just like you, right? I can do. However, this is where I was going. It's not going to be 9, right? They have to start at Tiger, and they have to do 27 quests, and it'll be over 6 months. Okay, 27 quests over 6 months, and they have to attend every single class. Right, and because it's not like a Foothill college or things like that, you can't just enroll and skip classes. If if any of those 10 people, well, let's start with a buffer of 15, right? So that 5 people who are slackers, I can just kick off. So we end up with 10 people who are really committed. So maybe we'll have another channel of people that can join us essentially in learning this. Because I was thinking this morning, someone emailed me saying, what are the prereqs to enroll in 2A and things like that, and 2B and 2C. And I told them, actually, if you complete 2C all the way, right, complete 2C, and you've been, doing it not by looking at previous solutions and trying up, because, in an interview, you don't get like 6 months to do a solution. You have to do this in 6 minutes, or 10 or 15 minutes. But here, each one of the technically, each one of these quests is an interview problem, right, which you may potentially have to solve in 15 minutes. And but looking at the solution is never going to help you in an interview. But what you can do is take each of these problems and say, now I don't have to do it under stress with interviewers watching me, and on a whiteboard. I have like 6 days of time. Imagine, right? Think about it. If you were actually in an interview and they gave you a problem, and you would say, oh, if only I had 6 days instead of 6 minutes, I could make a killing here. Right now, you have those 6 days, and these are exactly the problems that you may really face. Because you go to an interview and they might draw a graph and say, well, how would you use your whiteboard marker and go from here to there in the easiest possible way, right? And there's no computer science there. And here, it doesn't matter what language you use, because they're only following your hand gestures and movements, and any tables you may draw on the side to keep track of things. That's all, right? That's an algorithm. Yeah, I've done it once, so I don't know if it works for everybody, but it did work for me one time. Okay, in the long distance pass, because I wasn't really conversant in the language that the interviewer was able to be interviewed in, and so this was a kind of improvised method, which I thought kind of worked much better in the end, because it was language independent, but I still got a really good feel for that person's kind of thinking, whether it's computational or basically hand wavy and intuitionally, unsupported, so, and things like that. So anyway, so that's where I'm going. If you can think of friends, and in these 10 or 15 people, they don't have to be co-located either, right? They could all be international. All they have to agree upon is some same time for me, right? Sometime during the week when I'm not conflicting with you guys' meeting or my 2A meeting or some other meetings. Most of the time is okay. They'll have to, and even if it's weekends or after working hours, that's fine with me, right? So they have to pick 2 2-hour blocks every week. Starting with 2 2-hour blocks, right? Because they're 2A, it's going to be 2 2-hour weeks. But once the people are really solid on concepts from 2A, 2B, I don't think you need 2 hours, 4 hours of lectures a week, really. I think so, right? Because in 2B and 2C, you really need more guidance like a graduate student, where you have these problems and then you meet with the instructor every week. As long as it takes, and maybe one-on-one and email and things like that, that's fine. But it's advanced courses as you go on. Like when you go to your PhD, you're really begging your advisor for time, because I remember, it's very hard to get advisor time when you're doing PhD, because when you're doing your PhD, all the advisor wants to hear is, have you made any progress on the paper? Because they have some deadline in mind for submitting something and whatever it is, right? So if you don't have an update, you don't even go and meet him, and he's not going to meet you, or she is not going to meet you. So here in the grad level courses, but not PhD, you actually do have scheduled meetings, right? It's like a one-on-one with your manager after you start working, and so every week in 2B, we'll start with 2-hour meetings, and then when they get to 2C, like you guys, we can just do 1-hour meetings and then spill over, and as time permits and as required. So how about that? Okay, so if you guys have friends, and just let them reach out to me. It'll be 27 quests starting 6 months, okay? And it has to be 10 plus students, all of them working together, and they'll have to meet with me in 2A 2 times a week, 2 hours each maybe. So, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, right? It's all free, and but they have to attend this, right? And if they slack off, then I can basically drop them. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. No commitment, and no, but they have to be really sure they want to learn and do this, okay? If they are, who knows, right? So maybe some group of them, you guys and some group of them can get together and put together a really killer company. There's nothing, no telling what can come out of incredibly brilliant minds working together, right? Because neural networks power comes from these nodes that are all working together in tandem like that. So you have higher level cognitive units, and they're all working together, not half as hardly, right? Spraying bullets in random directions. But because you can be equally powerful, same number of bullets, same number of velocity of fire and things like that. But if they're all firing in random directions, that group is never going to make progress. This is like that famous race between IBM and Hewlett Packard on the boat. I don't know. I must have told you guys, because you were doing, you did my 2A and 2B too, right? So if they're all firing in all random directions, no movement is made. But suppose one of them, on average, right? Because in nature you can never find a uniform distribution. I've said this so many times, right? Because I'm glad to see many of you have completed quest 5. If you can actually raise a hand and complete all of the quests, and just pop all of them, those of you who are done to displaying already, and if you can just pop on, right? And don't go back to ace everything. So if you pop all the quests now, and you come back, I'll just give you full points for your quests, right? Whether you ace everything or not. If you take on this extra credit project, okay, which is that thing that I talked about before, an empirical comparison, right? A short, a very short experiment, okay, and nothing compared to the quest you're doing. Now, that's why I'm saying it's going to be really short, and I can walk you through this. It is basically setting up a splay tree and an AVL tree, which you can take some time to implement, and it's going to be very simple. And then we just do this empirical experiment and report it, right? And I'll show you how to write a report, a technical report, GitHub, you don't have to do any references because it's all theoretical and conceptual. People can just Google to find out if any information that you report is, not too intuitive. But you can write a proper report and you can publish it on GitHub and Slack. What is it? Slack? No, Stack Overflow. I'm pretty sure lots of experts in the field may actually consult it and also use it. They may use it to make a decision. Because I know I've been in, I've advised startups in which they were using trees the wrong way, and just changing one kind of tree to another just gave them a huge performance win. Right, and there are lots of companies, and these are startups, not with stupid people, right? Not homegrown programmers. These are programmers who've been around and done a lot of things, and they got something that works. But if they make some simple changes here and there, it just goes much faster, right? And it's just that it's the problem with many startups, and also, right, and you're in 2C, you're going to graduate and start working soon. So this is my recommendation, right? And this is what I told my son too. I don't know what he's, so it's not good to work in a startup unless it's your own startup. Okay, if it's your own startup and you're working on your own idea after you graduate, that's great, do it, right? But after you graduate, or if you're doing a startup in your final years and things like that, don't this is my recommendation, right? Unless it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, you really care deeply about them, it's a different matter. Or if you're in it together, that's fine, right? Don't go to work for someone else's startup. And the reason I say that is because the priorities are different. Yeah, I know, right? I've been in startups, I've created startups, I've sold startups, and I've been on all sides of the equation, right? So I know the priorities are different, and it's not because of malice or malicious intent of the founders, right? It's just the priorities are different. But right now, when a company starts up, they have to survive, and they have to generate positive cash flow, right? Otherwise, the VCs are basically going to yank the lifeline. And so if you don't have a really solid idea, right? That way, then if the solid, you can. So that's why if you have a really solid CS sense, right? So really solid computer science sense, and you actually believe in the startup's mission and say, well, what they're onto is really cool, and they can actually make something really good out of it. That's okay. Then you can go and work in that startup, because chances are that other people will also feel the same way. But otherwise, I think go for one of the bigger companies, which actually gives you the luxury of also growing yourself and also learning new skills. So I don't know where I was going with that. So yeah, you're going to be graduating and working. Anyway, so where I was going with that is that once you have a bunch of people and all brilliant people, but if they're all firing in random directions, it's not going anywhere. But if nature abhors a like a vacuum, a uniform distribution. Everywhere you see, it's at least unimodal, right? There's a peak. If you add multiple randoms, you get a uniform distribution, right? A Gaussian. So everywhere you look, there's a Gaussian. Everywhere is a normal distribution. Everybody loves a bell curve that way, right? So yeah, right. So assuming there's a whole bunch of brilliant people, the odds are very high that all of them, some mean of them, there's a mode in that mean where all of them, the common interest, right, for everybody's happiness, right? There is a mode somewhere saying that some number of brilliant people are pointing in that direction, right? So, and it's like a compass, and essentially, because there is a positive reinforcement in that direction, that tends to reinforce itself. And so that tends to create value, and more people will join that, and more brilliance happens in one direction than in other random directions, because other random directions, the brilliances will tend to cancel each other out, right? But many people in the same direction, it actually flowers into something really beautiful. So once you get a bunch of people together, who've gone all the way, all 27 quests, and this way I'll also push these guys to ace everything, because it's not going to be bound by Foothill and things like that. They'll have to ace and things like that. But if you've aced all of them, you can actually be sure that you can get a group of those people who've all aced all 9 quests in red. Okay, all 27 essentially, right? If you get a bunch of those people together, and all they have to do is just have a cup of coffee every week. That's all, right? And they can just have a cup of coffee and shoot the breeze. We used to have these alum get-togethers in a whole bunch of companies I used to work for, and it used to be fun, right? That's all we do. Every month we just get together, have dinner, or go to the bar or something like that, and go back home, and just catching up to say hi. And if you just say, right, people who have completed quest 9, right? We just get together at this pub every month and have chit chat. Who knows what might come out of those discussions, right? As long as you, because you guys know all of you are equal now. Everybody's done Quest 9. And there's no one-upmanship anywhere, and just there to start talk about interesting ideas. And that is how the idea of the cyclotron was born, right? Historically, this is maybe it's an apocryphal story. I don't know if it's a cyclotron or something else, because for a very long time, quantum physicists were trying to figure out how fundamental particles move in magnetic fields. Because because if an electron moves through a vacuum, you can assume that it's going to go in a straight line, or along the curvature of space. But if it's going to be in a magnetic field, the electron is charged essentially, isn't it? Charge is a current, and current in a magnetic field is going to be deflected, or it's going to experience a force. So when a charged particle moves through a magnetic field, it curves. And so we wanted to study how much it curves. Well, for this much Tesla, this is the radius of curvature, or something like that, right? We want to come up with some predictable law to explain that. And so there's no way of actually observing how an electron moves or measuring anything about it. So physicists were thinking for a long time. And a whole bunch of people who completed, Physics Quest 27 got together in a bar. I don't know, right? By two physicists in a bar, apparently. And one of them was having beer, okay? And it was a clear beer of some kind. And the other person looked at the beer, and he got the idea for a cyclotron. And he's apparently, this is a story, I don't even know it, right? Maybe it's 20 years old. Maybe I'm even wrong or imagining it. You can check it out. So one of them looked at the beer and said, you know what? If that was made of liquid hydrogen or helium or whatever it is, right? And we fired an electron through it, the velocity of the electron will impart enough kinetic energy to the atoms of hydrogen around it to vaporize them, and enough of them for us to see a trail. How cool is that? Pretty cool, isn't it? So the idea for a cyclotron was born out of two scientists just shooting the breeze, having beer, and saying, wow, I can make the paths of electrons visible if I shoot them through liquid helium within a magnetic field. Then I can compensate for the kinetic energy of these, and the magnetic field, I can measure things. Well, ultimately, you can measure things now, which you never were able to do before. And that's really cool. And, and so great things are born out of conversations between brilliant equals. And that's where you all need to be at some point, I think. And you're already brilliant. So you just need more and more of you guys, so that, it's not just the 6 of you or 7 of you. Right? So get all your friends together. I'm happy to teach these guys, right? Because at some point I'm planning to retire from Foothill. So, because if every class I ask for 40 students and I only get like 7 students, right? And what's the point? Then I might as well offer the class for free or on the internet via LinkedIn or Facebook, and anybody could sign in. Right? I'm happy with how many of our students I get, because those guys I can basically force to behave like you guys. Right? Because I can't force the remaining 27 guys in class to look at, these guys, and nobody's ever going to get as many points as Walter and Riley, for example, right? Because they've been so helpful and helping each other in the forums and things like that. But I can force everybody to be, vocal and helpful or persevering like Aman. Everybody has these good qualities. But there's a whole bunch of people who are just happy with the grade. And I don't think that should be the case. So that's why I'm reevaluating whether I should just teach through Foothill or just do this, because I'm only doing this because it's fun. And if I could just have my fun without having to, be diluted, the effort diluted, and it's also invisible, right? Because I'm pretty sure for me, myself, there is a lot of value in going through these quests and learning the stuff. But the value will be invisible for someone who has a different perspective and saying, well, I just need to get through these, right? Not learn these. I need to get through these is a completely different mindset. And they will never learn anything out of it. And that's a waste for me, because, I had some valuable stuff to put out there and it's not being used. And so I might as well just give it to the ones who actually want to use it. Not that it actually costs anything, but at the same time, it's just electrons and carbon that's wasted in the world, right? So Anyway, so I don't mean to rant or anything, but I did want to make sure that you guys know that you are super valuable, right? No matter what quest you are on. That's what that, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're at the very bleeding edge or further down. That does not matter at all. It only matters that you are actually persevering and putting your effort forward to keep learning. And there's another thing I'm trying to strike a fine balance here between using Google and Apple, because finally I decided to change my iPhone and move to Google Fi, um, and found it easiest to say that, instead of my iPhone 6, which is, most apps don't work on it anymore. So I just upgrade to a Pixel 6, which means now I'm an Android. So I've actually been enjoying the Pixel 6, but I realized over the last couple of days that even though it's so cool, right? Because there was a bird right out here, and I didn't know what, but it was so pretty, and I just asked Google, say, let me try that again. Hey Google, what common backyard bird in the Bay Area has a red breast?
Sorry, I don't have any information about that.
Well,
I found something else.
Hey Google, stop. Hey Google. Hey Google, stop. Anyway, last time I asked, maybe I asked slightly differently. And the next thing I know, I had my Pixel phone in my hand, and it said, I sent a picture to your phone. I just sent a picture to your phone, maybe that'll help. Okay, that's what it told me. I wish I had recorded it. Okay, and I didn't used to get it with my Apple iPhone and Siri and things like that. In fact, I even stopped using Siri after a while for many things. And it was the exact same bird that was sitting on the perch out there. And it was the exact same. It's a finch apparently, right? And it's red and everything, and it's exact same thing. And and the power of AI, right? And linking things together, and you get these niceties if you're in a particular universe. And then I realized that, both I've enjoyed a lot of things with Apple, and I still enjoy a lot of things with Apple. And I also enjoy a lot of things with Google. But now I'm having to straddle, and and it wouldn't be nice if both of them followed, cooperated or worked with each other. And I realized that it's not possible in this case, not because of business competition or malice or anything like that. And I might be wrong. They're just operating on two different parts of the spectrum of products. This is my theory, okay? And I found a peaceful model for coexistence, saying that we're going to offer products to users, but we'll just instead of fighting with each other, we'll just offer it in two different bands of the spectrum. Like you divide up the spectrum, and you say you offer it at the bleeding edge for that many users, and we'll offer it. We'll take the bleeding edge and we'll do more research on it, not from the point of view of improving the underlying technology, but we want to build on top of that to make sure it doesn't crash randomly. Because Pixel phone, despite all the niceties, crashed on me a couple of times, which never happened in my Apple phone for the last 10 or 15 years that I've had, right? So, but it's missing a lot of the bleeding edge technologies that I'm getting with Google that I never used to get with Apple. So I realized that what's been going on is that there is a time difference between whatever is you get at Google, you get at Apple, and the time difference is what you pay for someone else to suffer the growing pains. And Apple says, we'll take the bleeding edge, and you're going to have, if we give you the bleeding edge right now, like Google does, you'll have the phone crash, in the middle of an important conversation. Your flashlight might go off all of a sudden. All of these things happen to me on the Android phone, right, on a Pixel 6. But you'll get a lot of really cool features like integrating with everything, and far beyond, I think, what Siri can do right now, because my son has Siri, and right? But I might be wrong, okay? But we wait for that, and we get the stability, and for the stability, you're going to pay more because we suffer the growing pains, and that is the model they picked, I think, right? So they say, Apple is going to be a premium because we took the growing pains out by suffering the crashes on your behalf, and we'll give you a solid product that's not going to give up on you. And you can have this phone for, I don't know, maybe 10 years now, and it'll be just as good as new, which is, is just as good as new. But I've never had a Google phone because I remember back in the day too, right? I used the Nexus One and Galaxy and things like that, and they were always going out of date in 2 years. And so I always kept to some problem or other, and then finally, when I went back to SRI, they were, all Apple phones. So they gave me an Apple phone, And since then, the next phone I got was an Apple, and I've been an Apple from then to now. So, and now back to Pixel. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. No, but my wish is that at some point, there's, even if they don't have overlap on the spectrum of, the generations of, or the user, I don't know what user expectations, they would at least overlap on the data front and have more commonality in the standards, so that you see Google and T-Mobile and AT&T and all of these guys just work together, and we just have one AI, and basically ask the question, and it says, yeah, yes, I sent a phone, I sent a photo to the phone that's to the device that's nearest to you, right? Whether it's my phone or laptop, it can tell, and something like that, right? Or to my glasses, or something like that. Okay. Anyway, so then thank you all so much. I know it's voluntary and all, you didn't have to come, and I greatly admire your tenacity and your patience and your willingness to put up with my bullshit and wait for me to talk through all of this before you begin your own self updates. Thank you all. Also, I'm also very gratified to see the progress that you guys are making. Okay, and it's not just one-shot progress coming in once in a while to just clear the marker, but you're actually trying to learn from each of these things, which I greatly value. Okay, so thank you all so much for that. Okay, yeah, please do go ahead. You can carry on your conversation. You don't have to feel obliged that it is a link list update. You can ask me questions if you want. Otherwise, you can just say, turn the laptop around. We're just going to have a conversation about, Quest all the way. Aman might have a question about Green Quest 2, and I'm pretty sure 4 or 5, something like that. I'm sure any of you can help him with that. Is it right, Aman? Yeah, right. So anybody can talk about anything. Okay, anything related to computer science is fine, because it's just an informal. It's not a regularly scheduled class. It's just an informal meeting that people just get together of their own volition. Okay, so if you have any questions, ask me. Otherwise, thank you all so much for your time. I'm following.
I had a question about
Yeah, sure. Soon, go ahead. Yeah.
Because I noticed the find functions in the binary search trees weren't being tested on the auto grader. I was wondering if that was just maybe I didn't pass a certain mini quest, or they're just not being tested at all.
Oh, I don't know. Find on the binary search tree.
Yeah, just maybe the regular find.
Yeah, I don't know. How many trophies did you get?
I think I got. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure it was around 20. I think it was 29.
Okay, I might guess. I have to go and look, but my guess is that it is a hidden quest. Okay, hidden mini quest. So if you get it, you get trophies, and otherwise you won't know. Because if it's not in the 30s, if I remember correctly, this is lazy trees, right? Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has more than 30 trophies. Okay. Unless I'm confusing this with the koala, which was loaded with trophies, right? Question number 4, which Aman is on, is you get a lot of trophies there. And this is also trees. I don't know. Maybe someone else who has completed that can chime in to say if BST find is also tested, but maybe it's a hidden quest.
I'm trying to remember. I think it had to do with the lazy BST garbage collector, because I remember there was something in the spec that I had not fulfilled, and I also got around 27, but I wanted to move on at that point. So I do believe it is in the spec to be able to get more trophies. I think there's more that's kind of obvious what you should do for that spec, for that quest, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are absolutely want to know, which I don't care. I don't think so. I can find out. I have to go to another window and look through one of my archives.
I mean, I was just planning on moving on to quest 5 anyway.
Yeah,
I was just kind of curious.
Move on. Oh, by the way, when I said come back and do this experiment, the empirical experiment, I didn't mean don't ace the quests. I'm saying do the experiment, get the paper out, and I'll help you with that. But still do the quest in your own time, right? Finish all of them, right? Over summer, because you're not going on to CS2D now, right? So we don't have an offer of CS2D. To finish off all of the 9 quests properly, And I will actually be happy to give you a preliminary class in machine learning and data engineering, if you like, with projects, with proper C++ projects. Okay, so I'm happy to do that for 6 weeks at least. I'm pretty sure it'll go for 6 weeks at least, but that'll only be for interested students who are interested in really learning it over summer maybe, and willing to attend every single week, right? And also work on all the projects that I give them. Okay? So I'm happy to do that. Yeah, move on and then come back and do the paper. Or even if one person does the paper, that's fine. The rest of you can work on the acing requests if you like. But I would like for one of you at least to take on the, and I'll give you for anyone who does the paper and publishes it on Stack Overflow, on Reddit and GitHub. I'll just max out the quests point. Okay, so nothing matters after that. If you manage to finish all the quests, just pop the quests and then come back and do the splaying and AVL trees paper. And I'll guide you every single step of the way. Okay, the only thing you have to do is just implement AVL trees. But if you implement splay trees, AVL trees is a piece of cake. Okay, so if you do that, and then I'll guide you, and you can publish these papers. 5 reports from our class on Stack Overflow. How cool would it be, right? So and they'll all get independently cited, and you can cross-cite each other too, and take averages, whatever, right? And and I'll max out your score on questing so that you're not forced to complete ace all of the quests or even get past the max trophy count. I'll max it out. But you are invited and strongly encouraged to complete all of the, go beyond the pup on every single quest. And because once you do that, I'll also give you a class on machine learning and data engineering, right? It'll be comparable to a proper graduate level class at any damn institution out there, okay? And it'll be hard, but it'll push you. But if you do that, you'll be totally confident, right, of handling any data sets and looking for patterns in it, and trying to also see what algorithm I should use, because there's a ton of machine learning algorithms out there. How do you know which one to use? I can throw everything at a deep neural net, especially for simple problems where you can actually tease out the problem with statistical modeling, right? Why throw it at a deep net and find out, oh, this is a recommendation, but I don't know how I got to the recommendation, right? No, if it's a simple problem, you just model it using entropy-based decision trees and things like that, right? So you develop an intuition for these things. And so I can coach you through that if you like. I've done that a long time ago, right? When I used to teach these things, but I have the material and I've been there and I haven't forgotten it, and I've done some other interesting things, and also I can guide you through personal projects too, right? So whether it's Unreal development or cloud-based development, so all of that. But you have to have completed all 9 quests properly for that. But certainly do the paper. I will help you do that, even if you've just popped all the quests. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll just turn it over to you. Okay, cool. All right, so why don't you just take turns? Aman wants the green question, but you can wait or go first, or you decide what to do, or it's just going to be a conversation, right? It doesn't have to be in any particular order, right? You can interject and say, let me do my question first, or hey, can you help me with this? Okay, no discussion of code, but you can discuss concepts and say, and even describe what to do in pseudocode. That's all fine too. Yeah. All right, great. Thank you all very much, and hopefully I'll see you on the forums, okay? And if not, certainly next week. Thank you so much. Bye. I'm going to be here, right? Just call me if you need.
I was actually had a couple of things I want to talk about Kangaroo, if that's okay. So I'm sort of finishing up with the first header file, which is just the linear probing. I haven't tested it through the questing site yet, but based on my tests, I'm getting close. But one of the things I read about when I was sort of reading for this quest was the method of chaining, and then there's of course linear probing. And my question with that is the efficiency of them. It seems to be that the reason we're doing linear probing is because with a lower, I forget what the word is, I believe it's load factor, it performs better because you don't have that, clusters, and you have less collisions because of that. So if I'm correct, is the idea of of the quest, why we do linear instead of chaining is because we do linear probing while also trying to reduce our load factor. I don't know if that makes sense, but if anyone has any input.
I'm not too sure exactly. I was even wondering why, maybe it's something I don't get, but why we didn't do some sort of like array of linked lists where we could store collisions in just the linked list, because it seems like if we do the linear probing, we could be using if we get a collision and then we store that some few elements down the line, that could be taking up space of an actual element that would actually go in that space. Yeah, but I'm not too sure. Still trying to kind of wrap my head around it. But
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly what I was reading about the array of linked lists. And you bring up a good point too there, which was in the spec, which I thought about for a while, which mentions something about how it's really prone to clusters, the linear probing. And it makes sense after a while if you think about it, because the bigger the cluster gets, the higher chance that you'll collide there. And then when you collide there more, it will get bigger as a result. So it makes sense to build like these really big clusters, and bigger clusters means collisions. And based on the spec, it seems like collisions is the number one thing you want to avoid. So yeah, I was a bit confused on really why linear probing would be better, except for the fact that it seems that, the only way to make it better is to keep that load factor down by either making the array bigger. Obviously, that's the number one way, and maybe changing the way we do our hash. But yeah, it was just something I was thinking about as I was reading.
mhm.
I mean, who knows? Maybe all those questions will be answered in the what is it called, the quadratic probing, or quad probing. I forget what it's called. But yeah,
So I'm still trying
I'm
to figure that one out too.
yeah, I'm hopefully gonna start on it within a day or two, and
Mhm.
uh,
Anyone got any questions? Anything?
I think it just to add on to it, since it seems there's nothing better to talk about. I believe it was in the modules, and it might even be in the spec as well. But it brought up the idea of skipping a certain amount of elements every time you do the probing, and that way you leave open space to avoid clusters, and that was a way to avoid collisions. I'm not sure if that's what's done in. I'm trying to, yeah, I haven't really fully read the spec. I kind of started with the near probing, so I'll have to look at that more. That's also an interesting idea of, I wonder how much better that it would be compared to the chaining that you talked about, the array of linked lists. Because yeah, I guess it would reduce collisions, but I don't know, we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm kind of still trying to understand why like the array of linked lists wouldn't be a superior option, because it seems like it would eliminate the problem of taking up extra space with the elements that we can't find a spot for. So I don't know.
Yeah, and the way I see it with the chaining is that you don't have that extreme fall off of efficiency when you get over your load factor. Since you're just adding it to a linked list, so yeah, your list gets bigger, but you don't get the same effective clusters that you do in the linear probing. So I guess it seems that linear probing is really great until the load factor starts to get too big, which seems to be the entire point of the quest, I guess. But yeah, that sort of tricked me for a bit too.
Well, if you guys don't have anything else, then I think that's it for the week, probably. Unless Aman, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I do have a question about a green quest, if you guys remember. It's about it's called Mina, and it's cellular automaton. And I was a bit confused about the extreme bit part, and that was probably the last part of the quest. And I didn't know where to place it or code that part. So I was pretty confused, and I'm not sure if any of you guys remember about the quest.
I think I remember. It's like it's mainly an abstraction. It's like it's just one variable that kind of represents like like in a automaton,
Mhm.
like you have a bunch of cells and the extreme bit is just a representation of one cell that represents the entire board that is not like
Mhm.
taken up by like I think it was like with the vector element. I don't remember exactly how it was implemented. Like it's like it was just so that like you don't have to like store every single bit in the automaton. Like if like like every single bit like background bit is 0, then you just set the extreme bit to 0, and then that represents like everything else that's not in your vector. I don't know if that really helps you, but yeah.
Yeah, sure, that helps a lot. Thank you for
Yeah, I am checking the automaton one. Yeah, what he said is correct. The thing is with the extreme bit, sometimes you need to set it to 0 based on that condition that comes with you. Yeah, I just pulled up the file. Sorry.
Mhm. Yeah, it requires us to. I thought it wanted us to alternate between setting the extreme bit to 0 and 1, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it does require you to like alternate it a bit, but I think it depends. I honestly don't remember exactly how we did it, but like I'm looking through my old implementation and I did alternate it a bit depending on some conditions.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it really helps to like look at because like there is a representation of cellular automaton. Like, I'm pretty sure last quarter someone shared like every role, and like you'll notice a pattern
Mhm.
where I think I don't remember exactly actually where it was, but
Yeah, I'll make sure that I guess I would go go about last quarter's discussion on the automaton and see what everyone has said on the Reddit. Must be probably 4 months back, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna see. And yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of automaton like simulators or examples online. So if there's anything confusing about that, I'm sure you can find online resources yourself.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. for helping me out.
One thing helped me with the automaton last semester was just make it in piece of paper. If you can actually replicate it in a piece of paper, and if you can do it with a small amount and just like take it from there, you can see all the conditions, which is, if I'm not mistaken, are like 3 and 1 default. But yeah, just like make it in a piece of paper step by step and turn it to a code and just like put it itself and it'll just work. Awesome. Any other questions, anyone? Great. So I'm just gonna call it for today. I'll see you next week.
All right. See you guys.
Take care.
yeah.
You guys, thank you. I'll see you next week, okay? I'll see you on the forums before then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.